is Hades? Hades is a tyrant. Hades is the death deity. Hades is the ruler of the underworld. He rules with a strict hand, but he can be convinced otherwise by Persephone, who is his spouse. The story behind Hades is he was the brother of three three gods, Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades. There are many legends surrounding how he became the god of the underworld. One of them is that they drew straws and Hades got the shorter straw, so he had to take the underworld. Another one is that he lost in a game of dice. Um, the game of the dice is a very complicated game. It's basically a gambling game. The most common thing in all the myths of how Hades became ruler of the underworld is that he lost. Hades is a very unlucky man, according to everyone. He's very unlucky. He's always getting the shorter end of the stick, and that's how he was growing up. So it was only natural that Hades would get the shorter end of the stick in this deal. The story of Orpheus is a good example of how Persephone convinced Hades to be merciful. Orpheus and Eurydice, I think is how you pronounce her name, were very much in love. And in some of the myths, they tell her being chased by either a son of Apollo or a satyr. And in this chase, she runs into a poisonous snake or runs into a bat of it in one of the myths, like this huge pit of them. She falls into this pit of poisonous snakes and she gets bitten and dies. Now Orpheus, who was really, really, really sad, goes to the underworld. Orpheus is a brilliantly gifted minstrel, taught by Apollo himself in some of the myths, and he goes to Hades' palace, and there is Hades and Persephone sitting there on their thrones, and he starts playing a music of how sad he is, of just a sad song overall. Now the music moved Persephone, and Hades noticed this. So Hades looked to him and said, "Your music has moved my wife. I shall grant you your wish. You may have your lover back on one condition, that you do not look at her when you're bringing her back up. You have to trust me." So Orpheus agrees, and he brings Eurydice back. Now the only thing is, he is like inches away from the upper world, and the happiness was just overwhelming him. He looks back and he sees Odysseus, and Odysseus is dragged back into the underworld. And that is an example of how Hades can be persuaded by Persephone.